All right, good morning, gang. This is Nate Bear, lead technical tactician for Monument Traders Alliance, the trade of the day. Happy New Year! It is I said December. Geez, Louise, January 6th, 2026. This is the first video of the year, so just want to kind of touch base on the indexes here, see where we're at, and then I've got a great looking setup. So the story really hasn't changed too much since the end of last year, which we had some movement up kind of into and through Christmas, and then we had sort of a pullback into New Year, and yesterday sort of started the beginning of the year. I know Friday last week technically was the first day, but people are still off, and I think yesterday was kind of the first real day of trading, and it was interesting. We had a decent gap up, but intraday the markets just didn't go anywhere, and it feels almost like you get a day like this and it's like, okay, yeah, there's some things working, and it was very mixed. Nvidia had sort of a trend down day intraday. Apple was kind of weak. Names like Meta were strong. Tesla was strong. So it was just mixed. And then when you get, some names moving higher, some names moving lower, you tend to just get this sort of choppy, this is not easy trade, right? So if you were long coming into the morning, great. If you caught the initial little pop first thing, great. But if not, the market did nothing pretty much for the rest of the day. So that's fine. Days like that are going to happen. Overall, there's really nothing bearish about this chart. We don't have a daily squeeze, but we do have a momentum shift that is starting to come through and is confirmed yesterday. So the thought that we go to all-time high makes a lot of sense to be here on the SPY. The Qs are a little bit different. Honestly, I like the chart of the Qs better. And if we look at this from like a weekly chart, it's just this really nice, clean sort of bull flag, right? But it is also a little concerning that the SPY is making new highs and the Qs are not. And that has a lot to do with Mag 7 just not really doing great as a group right now. So the biggest one here is Microsoft. Is obviously this chart looks kind of ugly. Meta, frankly, I think this chart has a ton of potential, but it's down way off its highs. Apple, frankly, to me, looks quite toppy. This looks very toppy. I'm not sure exactly what you call that pattern, but a gabled roof, a topping pattern. I don't know, but it looks like it wants to sort of come back down here to 255 to me, 256. And then you have names like Google that look great. Right, Nvidia here doesn't look, I wouldn't say great, but the weekly chart looks pretty solid with the weekly squeeze and a momentum shift. Amazon has a great looking weekly chart, but it's just kind of mixed, right? The leaders aren't really leading at the moment. So you've got this situation where the SPY is kind of like up and grinding higher. Great. Maybe we'll get more, breadth, more sectors participating. And the Qs are just sort of hanging back. So, my favorite market is one in which the NASDAQ is leading. I like to trade sort of, tech stocks, and I like it when the NASDAQ is leading, but that's not what we have right now. The IWM looks great. This thing is made a new all-time high recently, and it's setting up, I think, for another push to fresh highs. But so within this, it's just sort of like, okay, so where do you look for trades? And for me, it's looking for one of two things. I'm kind of looking for kind of reversal type charts, and I'll show you one that I'm in and I like, where you have this big move down, right? And then it's spent a month, 2 months, 3 months, right, consolidating, making a base, and it's starting to move back up. We've seen this recently with names like Kava, which is one of my favorite names to trade, right? So you had this move down, it's built this base, little sort of cup and handle in through here, and now we're up and away. And I think Kava has the opportunity to start trending higher again after a pretty big, long pullback period. Chipotle is another one, sort of a similar situation, right? So you get your move down, you build your base, and once you break out of that base, you start putting in higher lows and higher highs. So I think that's something that AMSC has the ability to possibly get going here. But the chart that I'm going to recommend for today is one called CELC. Okay, Celcuity, and this is interesting because I've never actually traded this one, but beautiful chart, right? Very, very strong, very, very strong. Last couple quarters, very, very strong, and it has a beautiful TPS setup here. So we've got our trend confirmed with our 8, 21, and 55 EMAs, right? So we've got stacked EMAs. So we've got our trend. We've got our pattern here, just a nice bull flag, bull pennant rather, right? Boom, boom. We've got our pattern. And then we've got our squeeze. We've got our red dots down here. and our momentum shift. So we've got everything we need in order to take a trade here. And there's a number of different ways you can play this. Honestly, what I will probably do is I'm actually looking for a little bit of a pullback, as you can see right through here. I'd like to get it off of like 100 to 102. That's ideal. But what I'll probably do is, honestly, I'll probably do a spread. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to recommend getting some February calls. So I'm gonna suggest, these are a little spready, right? So you want to probably do just place your bid and let the market come to you. But I'm going to suggest the $105 calls at around $7, right? So we need probably a little bit of a pullback in order to get filled on that, right? But if you can get the February, that's the 220, 110, I'm sorry, 105, right? 105 calls, which are basically the at the money calls at around $7. I think that's a great entry. And then from there, what we're looking at is we'll stop on any close below, say, 99. That's our risk. And the target is going to be new highs and a move up into the Fibonacci extension at around 117. Now, this name also has high short float. So if we go over here to FinViz and then type in CELC, you'll see below that we've got 20% short float here in this name. So it's kind of like a little bonus. I love trading stocks that are near their highs that also have high short float. So that's my plan. I'll get this chart marked up and we will go from there. But anyway, Happy New Year. Let's have a great year, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. All right, later.